A very good morning to all my dear friends. I am Prashant Mavani. I hope you all are doing good this morning. Today is Saturday, 27th October. Easy day for you guys today. Only 4 articles to go. All 4 of them are easy article. Nothing too technical, nothing too special about them. But they are important article. So first of all, let me ask you a question. Touching base. This one is about Prime Minister's visit to a particular country. Can you give me the name of the country where our Prime Minister will reach today, or he has reached? I think he has reached, or he is going to reach this particular country today. So give me the name of this country. Now the first editorial that we are going to go through is diffusing tensions. It's about CBI versus CBI case. The good thing is that central government is now reporting to Supreme Court. Supreme Court has basically took over this whole situation, and yesterday we were talking about this whole situation. I provided you a proper the chart was there, not chart but an infographic was printed in the Hindu newspaper. I have provided you that thing as well. We have gone through the whole timeline. So now what we get in this editorial is some important information about this particular case. So Supreme Court is supervising this whole inquiry on Alok Verma. Alok Verma was not happy with this decision of central government, right, to take all these responsibilities from him for time being. Central government is saying that one of the main reason they have grounded Director Alok Verma, Director of CBI, of course, Alok Verma, to control this feud that was going on in this CBI organization. Now, Supreme Court has ordered Central Vigilance Commission to finish inquiry that is going on Alok Verma in maximum 2 weeks time, so maximum 15 days, and you have to provide in a sealed envelope whatever your findings are to Supreme Court, of course. We have this former Supreme Court judge A.K. Patnaik, Justice A.K. Patnaik. He is the one who is going to supervise this CVC probe. Interim CBI chief, his wings are clipped as well by Supreme Court. Supreme Court has clearly stated that the main job for time being that M. Nageswar Rao will do is just to supervise this smooth functioning of agency. That's it, right? Any decisions that are taken by, any radical decisions taken by M. Nageswar Rao will be invalid, right? M. Nageswar Rao is barred from taking any policy or major decision, as you can read here. Then decisions taken by Rao between 23rd and 26th October to be placed before the Supreme Court in a sealed cover. Notices issued to Centre and CVC seeking response on Alok Verma's plea, and Rao will continue to do routine work to keep agency functioning. That I have already explained it to you, isn't it? Now let me add some important items on this thing. CVC's primary responsibility is superintendence over CBI in anti-corruption investigation. This is the main core job of CVC. Now the question is, in this case we find that CVC has suggested that Director Alok Verma should be removed for time being, or he should be removed. So the question is, CVC is not authorized, or it's not the main job of CVC to pass this sort of suggestions and recommendations. So here CVC is under question. The other thing is, we have this high-powered committee. When it comes to appointment of director of CBI, then we have this high-powered committee that is that has, in fact, Prime Minister, CJI, that is Chief Justice of India, and you have leader of opposition in it, isn't it? So when you are appointing a director, you are consulting this this high-powered committee is taking decision. Then why, when you are removing someone, or why when you are taking powers from a person for time being, then why you are not consulting this high-powered committee? If you want to know more about this particular thing, this CBI case, right, then do check out today's Press Information Bureau analysis. Let me tell you that PIB analysis are provided to you 6 days in a week, right, from Monday to Saturday. And every day you get important news items pertaining to ministry, union ministry, and important information, or you can say news items pertaining to Government of India. We do add every single day a special topic, right? And today's special topic is how to restore, or how to make sure that this CBI is truly, a proper you can say investigating agency of our country, a premier investigating agency. You know that from the things, this recent things as well as things that have taken, right, Ranjit, this 2G case, this coal case, all these cases have tarnished this image of CBI, and this is not healthy for our country. So solutions, you will find it in today's PIB analysis. I reckon you guys to go through it as well. It's a 15-20 minutes lecture max, and you can go through this special topics that we discuss. These topics, mind you, you don't find them in the Hindu newspaper. They are not that much discussed, but they are part of your syllabus. So it's not an advertisement. It's just a sort of saying you guys that if you are missing that thing, then I highly reckon you guys to go through it as well on regular basis. So now that's everything about it. And one thing that I would like to add here, one more thing, is that autonomy is a thing. If our CBI is not autonomous, then whatever you do, it's not going to help us. With this, our pen drive and tablet courses are available for various different exams. We have added so many new pen drive and tablet courses for various different exams. So do check out StudyIQ.com to find out more about it. The second item is about this one, right? This touching base. It's about international relationship, and I'm sure you have posted your guess in the comment section of this video. Now let's check whether we are right or wrong. It's about India and Japan's relationship, right? Prime Minister Narendra Modi is heading towards Japan. Is there for this bilateral visit, right? Summit level meetings that has been taking place between both these countries since 2006. Japan is here. I'm sure you are aware about this thing. If you are a regular student, then you know exactly where Japan is, because we have talked about Japan, its geography, so many times. We have talked about Korea, North Korea, South Korea, and other places, and then we have talked about Japan as well. So anyways, if you are not aware about it, then open your Atlas book. I have a question for you guys today. So, oh God, I have just revealed the secrecy of the question. Anyways, it was an easy guess, but the question is about political as well as physical map of Japan. So that's what your question is. Today's map-based question. Right, now India and Japan, good friendly relationship with each other, right? When we talk about regional or global issues or topics, right, we are on the same page. It's very good. It's a very strange thing, strange in a very positive way, that we don't have any sort of clashes at all between each other. When it comes to regional issues, like I'll give you example of South China Sea. We are on same page. When it comes to ASEAN groups, we are on same page. When it comes to this Korean Peninsula, we are on same page. I mean to say that we agree with each other. We are happy with each other's stand. There is no sort of conflict with each other when it comes to terrorism, when it comes to climate change, when it comes to United Nations Security Council, when it comes to United Nations. So global as well as regional issues, we are on same. Our stand is same. So there is no friction at all when it comes to relationship between India and Japan. Apart from that, you know that Prime Minister Modi shares a very outstanding relationship with Shinzo Abe, who is Prime Minister of Japan. I would like to add a couple of more things for new students and for your revision as well, for regular students. I would like to talk about some important pillars when it comes to India's and Japan's relationship. First is historic relationship, right? This historic relationship is based on Buddhism. Buddhism plays a very important role. Then you have a religion in Japan that is you can say very similar to resemblance with Hinduism of India. So in terms of religion, there is a sort of you can say partnership. It helps a lot in people-to-people partnership. Then it comes to modern history. Then we know that Subhash Chandra Bose history. Subhash Chandra Bose was helped by Japan, and very few people will be aware about this thing. But somewhere here, right, German submarine took our Subhash Chandra Bose here, and Japanese submarine took him back in this. So it was a sort of arrangement that was made for Subhash Chandra Bose by Hitler. So a submarine specially to deliver or to commute Subhash Chandra Bose from this place to Japan. He was taken in a submarine over here, and from here Japanese submarine took him to Japan. So when we talk about India's freedom struggle, Japan has played a very important role. So all these things are there. Then after this World War II, when you go through World War II, India's involvement in both First and Second World War, not directly but indirectly, because we were under this British Raj, and our freedom struggle, which I have already talked about. I would like to add one more thing here, that Japan, has always supported us in everything, right? In our development, Japan has always been there with us. We know Japanese cars and other things are household name in our country. They respect people of our country, right? They have this cordial attachment with the people of our country. Then if we go through recent past, I'm talking about 10-15 years, right? Then you know that we were under the sanctions of USA after our Pokhran test. So it was back in 2008 when finally things were sorted out between India and USA. We have signed a civil nuclear agreement between both of us, between India and USA, and Westinghouse and other companies are trying to, we are discussing with USA. We want to, just like Russia, right? We want to get technology from US as well for our nuclear energy, civil nuclear energy, of course, for electricity production. Now, this thing cannot be executed if you don't have green signal from Japan. Why? The reason is this Westinghouse is a subsidiary of Toshiba. Toshiba is a Japanese company. Now, Japan is the only country in the world that was bombarded with this nuclear weapons. We know this Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So nuclear bombs were chucked on this Japan, and it's the only victim of nuclear weapon, isn't it? So if you go through the constitution of Japan, what you find is that Japan is totally against nuclear weapons. It is a very peaceful country, and Japanese constitution is also talking about peace and not engaging with anyone in terms of military issues. But Japan is facing some challenges from China. They have a disputed territory, a disputed island. Then in South China Sea, right? Japan is not happy with the stand of China, declaring this whole region belonging to this China. So all these things are creating a sort of troubles for Japan. Then you have this North Korea and misbehavior of North Korea and all these things. So these are the things, right, Japan is worried about. Now, when it comes to India, India is a country that has not signed Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, NPT. The reason we have not signed it is because we have Pakistan and China. Both these countries, they have nuclear weapons. Now, when we talk about Pakistan has also not signed this NPT. And if we sign NPT, then we will come directly under control of this NPT rules and regulation. And if Pakistan has not signed it, then it can, misbehave with us. So this is the reason we have not signed this NPT. And now the connection is that we have not signed NPT, but then as well, Japanese government has passed, Japan's parliament has passed a law, special law, or a green signal has been given to Japan and India's civil nuclear agreement. I hope all these things are making sense, right? So you can understand a country that has suffered from nuclear weapons, a country that is totally against a nuclear weapon, is signing civil nuclear agreement with a country that has not signed NPT. So you can imagine the trust that both these nations have on each other, isn't it? So this indicates the importance or the depth of India and Japan's relationship. This was a very important background theory, I believe, that will help you with understanding international relations and India and Japan's relations. Now, let's quickly go through items that we find in today's editorial. So, expected topics, USA and China. I'm going to be a bit quick here. USA, of course, for this trade tariffs and sanctions on Iran and Russia. India is not happy with this Iran and Russia sanctions, CAATSA. When it comes to China, we know South China Sea and China cannot be tamed. by any one country. Today, China is so strong that alone Japan or alone USA cannot do anything about it, or alone India cannot do. If we team up, then yes, we can do something about it. USA's sanctions over Indian engagement in Iran and Russia is a matter of concern for us. When it comes to China, China is no, beg your pardon, when it comes to Japan, Japan is a bit skeptical about this TPP, exit of USA from Trans-Pacific Partnership, because this means that China will increase its influence over these ASEAN nations. So what we can do is together, India and China can, beg your pardon, not China, India and Japan. Of course, we are partners, but we can focus on this area as well in ASEAN nations. So these are the things that we are going to talk with each other. Then Mr. Abe was in China as a prime minister for the first time in last 7 years. So this visit was quite important. Yesterday it was in news. Then we will talk about One Belt One Road initiative as well, because Japanese prime minister was in China. So China and Japan were talking about Asian infrastructure. So One Belt One Road, and India will talk about this One Belt One Road. Japan will update India that they are not doing anything that will be against India. Then together we can work on this Asia-Africa Growth Corridor. Again, I have to give some background information about this Asia-Africa Growth Corridor for the sake of new students, because I have got a couple of messages, like 15-20 messages from new students. So I know that they have started from last 1 week or 10 days ago or something like that. So if you're not aware about what this Asia-Africa Growth Corridor is all about, then it's something like this One Belt One Road initiative of China. What we are trying to achieve here is that, let's talk about strengths of Japan. Japan is good in technology. Japan is good with money. Japan is good with project execution, speed, and all these things. When it comes to India, we have human beings, or you can say manpower. Not human beings, but manpower will be the right proper term. So we have manpower here, talented people. When it comes to Africa, right, we have a very good credit. People of Africa, they love us, right? And we have worked with Africa, so we have this experience of working in Africa. So manpower of India, experience of India, goodwill of India, credit of India, merged with technology, this money, right, and project execution capacity of Japan together. If we join hands, then we can develop various different countries of Africa. Africa is a land of opportunity, good resources, right? Need to develop their human capital, and here together both these countries can work, and this will be a sort of counter for this One Belt One Road initiative. So I hope these things are clear to you as well. Two things. One good thing is bullet train project is going on at a very good pace, we can say. One thing that has been pending for a very long period of time is this amphibian aircraft, and Japanese investment has gone up. Trade looks a little bit dull, but I would say that if investment is coming in, and if bilateral trade is not that good, then it's fine, because investment is creating more jobs in our country, and so many things are, because of investment. So it's fine. We should not be worried too much about this not that high bilateral trade as far as investment in each other's country is particularly more from coming from Japan to India. If it is okay, then we should not be that much concerned about bilateral trade. Now we'll talk about this particular topic. On your screen you can see people working in a factory setup. Of course, if you observe this picture, then there are many things that you can learn from this picture, right? Observe their boots, observe their clothes, right? Observe their overall machinery and things on which they are working. If you do a sort of in-depth analysis of this picture, you find that they are doing repetitive jobs. Now, repetitive jobs are not bad. I'm not saying that they are bad. They are very good if you want to produce items that are one item. If you want to produce cars or motorcycles or any other things, things for mass production, the best way to do it is by this sort of setup, right? It is called repetitive jobs, or you can say factory line. Many times it's called factory line as well. There are various different terminologies used in production. So it's about repetitive jobs. When you go to your job in the morning, you know exactly what you are doing, and you are doing this thing for a very long period of time. So you become expert in doing this thing. So that's what repetitive jobs are for. Now the thing is, right, repetitive jobs are good for mass production, but what about intellectuals? What about think tanks? What about development of our nation? Do we need this sort of repetitive jobs? Of course not, right? This is something that is not required at all when it comes to innovation, when it comes to creativity and other things. Now, I'm not sure if you have ever heard this thing, but this is a fact. I would like to, provide you a sort of different insight that after this industrial revolution, the whole society was trained for repetitive jobs. And unfortunately, even today in our country, in colleges, many colleges, and in many households as well, we are still not out of this thinking of industrial production. And let me throw some more light on this thing. So people expect that when you are done with your bachelor's, you will find a job, a regular job that you do. I'm not saying jobs are bad. It's all right? We all are unique. We all are in different stage of our life. So many times we have to take up jobs that we don't like, but we have to do it for survival and things like that. So I'm not saying here that you become very extreme. What I'm trying to tell you here is that, see, those days are gone. Right now, the time is for innovation, for taking risks, for risks in the sense calculated risks, and for thinking out of the box and creating some new ways and new ways of creating some new things and new ways of executing things. Now, when this government is talking about bringing central universities or their faculties under the central civil services code rules, so it's basically expecting, or directly indirectly it is trying to create this repetitive jobs, this university intellectuals or this people. It's a demand of capitalism. Basically, I can say that you have docile bodies and submissive minds. So when you control people who are supposed to liberate and who are supposed to trigger out of box thinking, and if you are trying to control them, then basically you are choking the whole society. Open societies encourage us to accept and welcome different ideas and practices, and this is something that is very important. If you observe the history, you will find that those countries who were good with navy, those were the countries who have traveled in different parts of the world. Those countries who invented guns, right, or were started using guns, those were the countries who have ruled over the world. Those countries who have accepted new ideas, they were the ones who have started with this science and technology and other sort of innovation and industrial revolution, and today they are developed nations. So it all, society and people who are think tanks, they play a very important role. And if you curb their voice, then basically you are choking the whole development of society. So it's basically a government is trying to create a bar without alcohol, and this is not right at all. So I hope things are clear to you. This is a very important thing that I was, I believe that you have got a new insight. Yesterday as well, we were, not yesterday, but I think the day before yesterday, we talked about this topic in detail. So I'm going to be very limited here. I think I have said enough on this topic. Now proceed with caution. This is about NRC exercise in Tripura. Tripura was a princely state prior to its merger with India on October 15th, 1949. And this petition that has been filed, this petition is, urging Supreme Court that the cutoff date in accordance with Article 6 of the Constitution should be 19th July 1948. Now, if we go through the points of Constitution Article 6, then we find that Constitution implies that a migrant from erstwhile Pakistan is deemed to be an Indian citizen if either of his or her parents or any of his or her grandparents were born in India. Right, this is a very important point, born in India. And in the case where such a person has migrated on or after 19th July 1948 and has been resident in the territory of India since the date of his migration. This is what we find in Article 6. The second point, again very important, the migrant can also be deemed a citizen if such a person migrated on or after July or 19 July 1948, but has been registered as a citizen of India by an officer appointed by Government of India. So these are the conditions as per this 19th July 1948, in line with this Article 6 of our Constitution, and that's what these petitioners are trying to, they are seeking that the cutoff date for Tripura should be 19 July 1948. Now the thing is, if we go through the population and various different figures and facts and figures of Tripura, then we find that prior to 1951, ethnic communities were 52% in Tripura. If we go through this 2011 census, then we find that population is 31.78 lakh. Consistently after this partition, then east, this violence and communal riots, and then later on Bangladesh war, we find that people from Bangladesh, they have migrated to Tripura, and because of this thing, what has happened is that that population, the local population, or I would say this Tripura's local, indigenous people, this tribal people, ethnic communities, their population has dropped. So this is something, they consider it as a threat for their identity, their language, culture and tradition, and this is the reason why they are seeking help from Supreme Court. So now let's wait and watch, right? So this is a background thing. Earlier on we have talked about NRC many a time, so I'm not repeating things about NRC. Remember Assam, and this draft was released, and 40 lakh people, their name was not there in this final draft and things like that. Right, so now we are in this important news items section. When it comes to important news item, the first one is about Sri Lanka, a big political change of guard in Sri Lanka. New Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa, the President's Maithripala Sirisena's party has stepped out of this coalition that was going on with the Prime Minister, the earlier Prime Minister. So now we have new Prime Minister in Sri Lanka. Disqualified Tamil Nadu MLAs have moved to Supreme Court. Pakistan's ban on Saeed's outfits lapses. We know how Saeed is being supported by Pakistan. 8 killed in Uttar Pradesh firecracker unit blast. I told you about a couple of days ago, we were talking about this standard operating procedure, and I told you that we are going to find this sort of news in near future. This happens every year, so based on that thing, I took a guess that, and I'm sure we are going to find some more news about this firecracker factory and blasts taking place. So even today we are not following this standard operating procedure, licenses and other things, and when we find this sort of deaths, after that government will become active and checkups will be conducted and things like that. Farm loan waiver is not a permanent solution, has been said by Venkaiah Naidu. He was present in this ceremony where World Agriculture Prize is given to Swaminathan ji. He is father of green revolution of our country. China and Japan, we have already talked about it. So Shinzo Abe says bilateral relationships are moving to a new stage of cooperation from competition. A very important item here, migratory birds will start arriving at Chilika, that is in Odisha. It's a Ramsar site, a wetland of international importance. You find migratory birds from various different parts of the world. They head towards Chilika Lake. Remember, this airport proposal was also cancelled. Government of India was trying to create a sort of airport for this seaplanes, but this thing has been cancelled, keeping in mind this importance of ecosystem of this Ramsar site or Chilka Lake. 2 items from financial world. RBI to inject 40,000 crore rupees in November in the market for enhancing liquidity in the market. And Viral Acharya, Deputy Governor of RBI, has said that government should respect independence of central bank. Vocabularies are there in front of your screen. This was the one I was talking about. Now you know that this is Japan here. So give me political as well as physical important information about this country, Japan. This is your answer of yesterday's question. And today's new question, I have added a couple of Hindi words for Hindi medium students, but for English medium students, it's going to be all right. That's everything in today's discussion. You can download the PDF of today's lecture from my FB page and Twitter handle. Tomorrow is Sunday. I will try my level best to deliver this lecture as soon as possible. I'm planning for somewhere around 9:30 max. But tomorrow is Sunday. So just in case if it is a little bit late, then rest assured I will come with a special topic for you guys, some important science and tech and other important news items. It's going to be a very crisp, to the point, 20 minutes max lecture, but it will be delivered tomorrow like every Sunday. So timing on Sundays can go up and down, right? I will try somewhere around 9:30, but if it gets late, then don't be worried, it will be delivered to you. And enjoy your weekend. God bless you all, and do share this lecture with other students. Jai Hind.